Hold on, because this wasn't in the script. In the middle of filming, the set went silent. Crew members froze. A scene was stopped, not once, not twice, but again and again as tension boiled over between Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas. Whispers turned into panic. Phones stayed down. And what happened in those few minutes nearly changed the entire movie. This isn't rumor. This is what really shook the set. From the very first day of filming, the movie set felt electrified. This was not just another project. It was a massive, high-budget production carrying enormous expectations from studios, investors, and fans around the world. Every detail mattered. Every scene had weight. And with names like Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas attached, there was absolutely no room for mistakes. Tom Cruise arrived exactly as people expected, disciplined, focused, and fully prepared. Known across Hollywood for his unmatched work ethic, Tom treats every film like a mission that must succeed. He studies scenes obsessively, rehearses relentlessly, and demands the same level of commitment from everyone around him. For him, filmmaking isn't just acting, it's precision, control, and perfection. Ana de Armas stepped onto the set with a different, but equally powerful energy. As one of the fastest rising stars in the industry, she brought confidence, natural charisma, and a strong creative voice of her own. Ana is known for chasing emotional truth in her performances. She doesn't just want a scene to look good. She wants it to feel real, raw, and deeply human. At first, everything seemed to be working beautifully. Crew members described the early days as smooth, professional, and highly focused. The chemistry appeared solid. Scenes were coming together. The production moved forward with speed and confidence. But beneath that polished surface, the pressure was quietly building. This wasn't a relaxed set. It was intense. Every take was pushed to the limit. Minor details were reworked again and again. Lighting, movement, dialogue delivery, nothing escaped scrutiny. Tom Cruise's reputation for excellence was on full display. He demanded the best, not out of ego, but because he believed the story deserved nothing less. Ana de Armas, equally committed, began pushing for deeper emotional layers in her scenes. She questioned choices, explored alternatives, and fought for authenticity. Her approach wasn't about rebellion, it was about artistry. She wanted the audience to feel something real, not just watch something polished. Slowly, the pressure started to show. Long shooting days stretched even longer. Expectations grew heavier. Creative discussions became more frequent and more intense. What once felt like collaboration began to feel like creative tension. Not anger, not hostility, but the kind of friction that happens when two passionate professionals care deeply about the same goal, yet approach it in different ways. Because when two powerful artistic forces meet under extreme expectations, perfection becomes a battleground. And that's when the sparks truly began to fly. The real drama reportedly began during one crucial scene, a moment meant to serve as the emotional backbone of the entire film. It wasn't just another shot on the schedule. The scene mattered. It was the turning point where the story shifted, where the audience was supposed to truly connect with the characters on a deeper level. Everyone on set knew its importance, and that alone raised the tension before the cameras even started rolling. The first take didn't land the way it needed to. Then came another take, and another. Multiple retakes were ordered as small adjustments turned into major revisions. Camera angles were reconsidered. Dialogue delivery was tweaked. Timing was refined again and again. With every pause between takes, the air grew heavier. No one was shouting. No one was arguing openly. But the silence spoke louder than words. Tom Cruise wanted the scene tight, precise, and controlled. His vision focused on restraint, every movement calculated, every line delivered with exact intention. To Tom, subtlety was power. Less emotion on the surface meant more tension beneath it. He believed control would make the moment stronger and more believable. Ana de Armas saw it differently, that she wanted the scene to be rawer, deeper, and emotionally exposed. She pushed for vulnerability. She wanted the characters' emotions to break through, to feel messy and real rather than polished. To Ana, the power of the moment came from honesty, even if that meant discomfort. Neither approach was wrong, but they were different. As takes continued, crew members began noticing the shift. Body language changed. Eye contact between scenes became brief. Conversations that once flowed easily were suddenly short and cautious. The director found himself stepping in more frequently, offering guidance, smoothing tensions, and trying to balance two strong creative visions. What had once felt like seamless collaboration slowly turned into visible creative friction. Still, it's important to understand what this moment truly was and what it wasn't. There was no personal hostility, no egos clashing for the sake of dominance, no explosive confrontation. What unfolded on that set was something far more common in Hollywood than fans realize, but far less visible to the public: high-level creative conflict. This was to dedicated artists fighting for what they believed would make the story better. In an industry where millions of dollars, reputations, and careers are tied to every frame, moments like this carry enormous weight. When the pressure is this intense, even the smallest disagreement can feel dramatic. And when both sides care deeply, compromise doesn't come easily. But sometimes, it's precisely this tension, this clash of ideas, that shapes the most unforgettable scenes. And on that day, in that quiet, heavy silence between takes, the film was being tested, not by failure, but by ambition. As filming continued, the tension that had quietly lived on set didn't stay there for long. In an industry built on curiosity and secrecy, whispers always find a way out. Anonymous sources began hinting at on-set drama, carefully choosing words that sounded serious but revealed very little. And that was all it took. Social media did what it always does. Within hours, speculation took over. A single phrase turned into dozens of theories. Short clips, behind-the-scenes photos, and casual moments were suddenly treated like evidence. Every pause, every expression, every interaction was dissected and replayed frame by frame. What had been a private creative struggle quickly became a public spectacle. Headlines appeared almost overnight. Some suggested egos were clashing, others hinted at tension. Too big to ignore, a few went even further, implying personal conflict where none had been confirmed. Fans, as expected, picked sides. Supporters of Tom Cruise defended his legendary professionalism. Admirers of Ana de Armas praised her courage and emotional depth. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, fueled by passion rather than facts. And the more people argued, the more the story grew. But behind all the noise, the truth was far less dramatic and far more human. This wasn't about ego. It wasn't about rivalry. And it certainly wasn't about personal resentment. It was about two artists who genuinely care about their work. When performers invest that much emotion and responsibility into a project, even professional disagreements can look intense from the outside. In reality, moments like this happen more often than fans realize. They just don't usually escape the set. Filmmaking at this level is pressure in its purest form. Every scene carries financial weight. Every performance can define careers. When millions of dollars depend on getting it right, emotions naturally rise. Passion becomes urgency. Urgency becomes tension. And tension, when seen without context, becomes drama. But the internet doesn't thrive on nuance. Calm explanations don't trend. Balanced perspectives don't go viral. What captures attention is conflict, exaggeration, and fire. A quiet creative disagreement doesn't get clicks. A major on-set drama does. So the story was reshaped, stretched, and amplified far beyond its reality. What began as a professional creative challenge turned into a headline-fueled storm. And once that storm was out in the open, it became nearly impossible to stop. Yet beneath all the noise, one thing remained unchanged: the commitment to the film. While the world debated, the cameras kept rolling. The work continued. And the real story, the human one, stayed hidden behind the headlines. Here's the part many headlines completely missed. The part that doesn't fit into a dramatic narrative. Despite the tension and the growing rumors, filming never stopped. There were no walkouts, no shutdowns, and no official complaints filed. No chairs were thrown. No voices echoed across the set. In fact, the production moved forward exactly as planned. And that alone says everything. Instead of chaos, something far more rare unfolded: professional growth under pressure. According to sources close to the production, both Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas took a step back from the intensity of the moment. Time was given to cool down, reflect, and refocus. Private conversations replaced public speculation. Creative discussions continued, but with clarity rather than tension. Adjustments were made. Blocking was refined. Emotional beats were rebalanced. Performances were reshaped, not weakened. Compromises were found that respected both creative visions. What once felt like conflict slowly transformed into collaboration, and the results showed. Scenes that initially felt strained began to flow naturally. Emotional moments gained depth without losing control. Precision and vulnerability found common ground. What the audience will eventually see on screen is not the struggle, but the strength that came out of it. Tom Cruise continued doing what he's known for across decades of filmmaking, leading by example. He arrived early, stayed late, and pushed himself just as hard, if not harder, than anyone else on set. His commitment never wavered. His focus never drifted. To him, the solution to pressure was effort. Ana de Armas, meanwhile, remained firm in her creative instincts while staying fully professional. She didn't back away from emotional truth, but she also didn't allow tension to derail the project. She stayed present, respectful, and deeply invested in making the story work. This wasn't about winning an argument. It was about making the film better. What some labeled as drama was actually a moment of transformation. The pressure didn't break the production, it refined it. The friction didn't weaken performances, it sharpened them. This wasn't a breakdown. This was pressure being turned into performance. And in filmmaking, those are often the moments that create something unforgettable, because sometimes the strongest scenes don't come from comfort, they come from the hardest moments. When commitment rises above conflict and professionals rise to the challenge. So what's the real takeaway from this so-called major drama? It's not scandal. It's not rivalry, and it's definitely not hatred. What this moment truly represents is something far more meaningful. A rare glimpse into the human side of Hollywood. Behind the red carpets, the flashing cameras, and the carefully crafted public images are real people working under extreme pressure. Long hours, high expectations, massive financial stakes, and the constant demand to deliver something unforgettable. When passion meets pressure, conflict can happen. That doesn't automatically mean something is wrong. In fact, in many cases, it means something is being taken seriously. Artists who don't care don't argue. They don't push. They don't challenge each other. Conflict often appears where commitment is strongest, and that's exactly what this situation revealed. Rather than tearing the project apart, the tension became part of its creative process. The disagreements forced deeper thinking. The pressure demanded stronger performances. The emotional strain sharpened the storytelling. What looked like drama from the outside was actually creative intensity doing its job. Early test screenings reportedly confirmed this. The very scenes that caused the most tension on set, the ones debated, reworked, and pushed to the edge, were the scenes audiences responded to the most. Viewers described them as emotional, powerful, and real. Not overproduced, not artificial, but authentic. And that tells us everything we need to know. The magic of cinema often comes from uncomfortable places. It's born in moments where nothing feels easy, where every choice matters, and where performers are forced to dig deeper than planned. Those moments don't always look pretty behind the scenes, but they can be extraordinary on screen. This story isn't about drama for drama's sake. It's about dedication. It's about pressure, and it's about professionals refusing to settle for good enough. Sometimes, the best performances are shaped by friction. Sometimes, the most unforgettable scenes are born from disagreement. And sometimes, the drama behind the camera is exactly what creates the magic we see on screen. And in this case, that's the real story, not the headlines, but the artistry that survived them.